Hey Chem teachers, it's Kindra here, and today we're going to talk about 4 Bellwork questions to help your students master gas laws in chemistry and help you to check for understanding of those gas laws. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Kindra, and I want you to think of me as your best friend and coworker, ready to take things off your plate and help you go home at the end of the day and not bring prepping and grading home with you. I've been a chemistry teacher for over 10 years, and I have created success and confidence in all of my students for the vast range of courses that I have taught and levels of students that I have taught in those courses. I have honed in how to reach all of them through these high impact, sought after, and easy to use resources that I am ready to share with high school chemistry teachers like you through ChemEd Solutions. I created this to be helpful and give teachers the resources that they typically don't have access to or that they have to spend so much time searching for online. In addition, I also help chemistry teachers throughout their teaching journey through coaching and mentoring. So with that, let's jump into our Bellwork for our gases. With our Bellwork for our gases, there are a couple of different topics that we can look at, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So we have our basic gas law calculations, and we're going to talk about a couple of different ways to do those. So we have our Boyle's law, and then we get into our law with volume and temperature, and then we get into our combined gas law, and then at the end we'll talk about Graham's law. You might be thinking, why do I start with Bellwork? What's the point? It just eats up more class time. But there's really 3 major reasons to start with Bellwork. The first is that Bellwork is going to engage our students immediately at the beginning of class. We don't need to start with some other housekeeping stuff. It gets them into chemistry right away and gives you a couple minutes to do the housekeeping stuff while they are busy. It helps you identify misconceptions early. Usually we were doing Bellwork on what we taught exactly the day before. So it helps you say, they got this or they didn't, and then it would help a student who maybe missed the day before. Finally, it builds routine and confidence. Our students thrive off of routine, and so by starting with this every day, they know exactly what to expect when they walk in the door and what they're going to be expected to do to be ready and be successful and confident in chemistry. So our first question that we have is, again, basic gas law calculation. I have my students set up this chart of their initial and their final, and I use the 1s and 2s for that. And then I like to give them just the same pressure units right away. Again, I'm testing, can they read a question? Can they identify variables? Can they plug it in? So with that, I do ask them to go to liters at the end of this one because it helps them to identify, oh, I started with milliliters and I need to switch, and that's a pretty quick and easy unit conversion. In my next one, I like to use ones with our basic gas laws that have temperature because they need to convert from Celsius to Kelvin. And so that's a really great one to use for Bellwork to make sure that they have remembered that. It's an easy misconception that they forget. Then we get into our combined gas laws. For our combined gas laws, I'm having them solve for the final volume. Maybe a second day of this, I might have them solve for a final temperature because that's a little bit more advanced, having them solve for something on the bottom. With that, my math department that I worked with had them cross multiply and divide. Whatever language your math department uses, adopt that language in your chemistry classroom. That is really going to help with your math skills and those transfer of those skills from math to chemistry for your students. Then I also teach Graham's law, and with Graham's law, I'm going to have them calculate which one is going to diffuse faster or slower, and I ask them just calculate the relative rates. So I say of nitrogen to oxygen, and so that's going to tell them nitrogen to oxygen at the end, and that's something to check that they don't get those mixed up. So I have them do that. Plug in. This is also a great opportunity to make sure that they can use their calculators correctly because they might not have done square roots in a while, and so helping them with that is really powerful too. So these are a few examples of Bellwork questions that are easy to implement, that are quick. Again, we want these to be done in 5 minutes so then we can move on and get going with the rest of our lessons. If this was helpful to you, or if you want to see more helpful teacher resources, tips, and tricks, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit the bell icon below so you never miss one. These come out usually on Tuesdays. And then also, if you'd like even more resources and tips and tricks and just a teacher community to help support you in your teaching journey, go ahead and check out my free resource below, the Skills Focused High School Chemistry Classroom. My gift to you, and then I also will send you weekly newsletters that give you a little bit more information and more resources and keep you connected with other chemistry teachers like you. With all of that, thanks for joining and happy sciencing!